From the permafrost of Siberia to the high peaks of the Andes, the Earth has held on to deep secrets for longer than our species has existed. Creatures and humans preserved so perfectly in ice, the first people who found them thought they had died last week. Today we uncover the most astonishing frozen discoveries ever pulled from the ice, from extinct predators to sacrificed miners, each one stranger than the last, each one shifting the story we thought was settled. And with every discovery, one question becomes harder to ignore. How much of our past is still locked beneath the ice? For 37,000 years, no one had seen anything like this, not even its whisker or a paw. Every image of a saber-toothed cub that ever existed was built from shattered bones and guesswork. The saber-toothed tiger is one of the most iconic extinct animals. This is a machete-mouthed demon. Scientists were simply working in the dark during the reconstruction processes. They were reverse engineering a ghost. But all that was about to change in the autumn of 2020. This is after a man searching for mammoth tusks along the Archaeological River in Siberia pointed a water cannon at a frozen mud wall, and the ghost stepped out. Right there was a 3-week-old cub, no heavier than a house cat, its eyes still closed, its brown fur and whiskers perfectly preserved. Its square paw pads, a feature no modern cat possesses, were untouched by time. It had died before it had ever hunted, even before it had ever opened its eyes to look at the world that was about to forget it for 37,000 years. Scientists identified it as Homotherium latidens, the last line of saber-toothed cats on Earth. The front half of its body was remarkably complete, but the back half was missing. We still do not know the cause of that separation. When comparative analysis against a 3-week-old modern lion cub was performed, the results were shocking. There were structural differences that no paleontologist had been able to confirm before. It had no carpal pads on the wrists, possibly an adaptation for silent movement across snow. Finding it in Siberia also rewrote the species distribution map. Homotherium was previously mapped only across the Americas, Africa, and Europe. Now it was in Asia too. DNA extraction is already underway. However, researchers studying the specimen have pointed to something unusual. The cub's relatively recent extinction and its close genetic relationship to modern big cats make it one of the more plausible candidates for gene editing revival. But for now, that remains theoretical. However, the cub is real, and so is the possibility, however distant, of bringing a species like it back to life. There is a crater in eastern Siberia so large it has been swallowing the forest above it for decades. The locals call it the gateway to the underworld. The permafrost walls drop nearly 180 feet straight down, and every year the thaw pulls more of them apart, exposing what the frozen ground has been holding underneath. In 2018, what it gave up was a full 12 weeks old, hooves still soft from birth, every hair on its body intact, the coat still the color it was the day it died, 42,000 years ago. Scientists who examined it described the preservation in simple language. They said it looked peaceful, like it had simply lain down. But there was something more shocking. When they cut into the tissue, liquid blood ran out. This was the oldest liquid blood ever recorded, 42,000 years old. It was preserved so completely by the cold that the cellular structure had barely degraded. To add on to that, traces of urine were still present in the bladder. The Lena horse was a stocky, cold-adapted breed, shorter-legged and heavier-coated than any horse alive today. It might be extinct, but scientists at the Northeastern Federal University in Russia are now working to change that. They are extracting DNA from the muscle and organ tissue in an attempt to produce a viable embryo for implantation into a modern mare. They have been trying for months, but they are yet to have a breakthrough. Something is certain, though. Somewhere in that preserved cellular material is a genetic blueprint for an animal that last breathed during the Ice Age. We almost never find mummified animals like this, with skin and fur. Somewhere in the Yukon, 57,000 years ago, a wolf pup died. She was 6 weeks old and small enough to hold in one hand. And the frozen ground took her so fast and held her so completely that when she came out of a permafrost wall in 2016, tumbling loose from a blast of water from a gold miner's cannon, she still had her eyelashes. The Trondheim people, on whose land she was found, named her Zur, wolf in the Han language. Paleontologist Julie Meechan, one of the world's foremost experts in Ice Age carnivores, examined her. She described her as the most complete wolf mummy ever found. 100% intact. The only thing missing were the eyes. 57,000 years ago, the people who lived in this same valley hunted mammoths. They would light fires at night, and small younger wolves, exactly like Zur, circled those fires in the dark. They were often drawn by the smell of meat and warmth, close enough to see, but not yet close enough to trust. She was part of that world, right at the edge of the firelight. When the DNA results came back, the story changed entirely. Zur is not related to any wolf alive today. Her entire lineage is gone, a ghost population, extinct without descendants. It's only known to exist because one pup drowned in the right mud at the right temperature 57,000 years ago. Without her, we would never have known they were there at all. One specimen, one genome. That's the only proof we have that an entire population ever existed. Before the American bison, before the European weasant, even before any bovine that walks the earth today, there was something larger, wilder, and built for a world that no longer exists. It roamed the steppe mammoth in herds that darkened the horizon. It fed the lions, the wolves, the cave bears, and the people who painted its portrait on cave walls in colors that have lasted 30,000 years. Then it was gone. But in 2022, it made a grand return. In the Yana Indigirka lowland of Siberia, researchers completed a necropsy on the steppe bison that had been frozen for 8,000 years. Surprisingly, the heart was there, the brain was there. The blood vessels had survived too, not as fossils or impressions, but as real physical structures. Even the digestive system was present, and the wool was still attached to the skin. When scientists extracted material from the body, what they found defied all expectations. Its chromosomes were still viable 8,000 years later. The steppe bison is not a distant evolutionary relative of modern bovids. It is their direct ancestor. Scientists who have spent careers working on bovine reproduction already understand the biology of these animals at a cellular level. The infrastructure for revival already exists in a way it does not either for mammoths or cave lions. The lack of fat around the abdomen told researchers something else. This animal died of starvation. It was thin and weakened. It had survived long enough to feel the world changing around it, the climate shifting, the steppe shrinking, before the cold took it and preserved it till 2022. Now science holds the answer on whether the revival of the steppe bison is a possibility. At the roof of the world, 4 countries meet: Russia, Kazakhstan, China, and Mongolia. The place is so remote, so breathtakingly silent, that locals call it the second layer of heaven. And beneath its frozen ground, the earth has been keeping secrets the rest of the world abandoned long ago. In the summer of 1993, archaeologist Natalia Polismak was melting permafrost with buckets of boiling water when she spotted something. A shoulder, a blue tattoo, and underneath it, a face. This was the Siberian Ice Maiden, also called the Princess of Ukok. She was 25 years old. She had been in the ground for 2,500 years. She was dressed in silk, wrapped in wool, and laid in a coffin carved from a single larch tree. Her headdress stood 90 centimeters tall. 6 horses in full ceremonial harness had been sacrificed and arranged beside her. Whoever buried her wanted whoever found her to understand that she had mattered enormously. Her tattoos were extraordinary. They depicted a mythical creature with a griffin's beak, a deer's body, and antlers flowering at the tips. They were rendered with a precision that modern tattoo artists have observed with open admiration. Infrared imaging has since revealed additional tattoos invisible to the naked eye. But when the MRI scans came back, the entire picture